Today on Nova Legends podcast, I have Meridian Coach Jim Smith, whose Mustangs are back in the state tournament again. Coach Smith has lots of experience in state tournaments. His Meridian are the 26 and 0. They just beat William Monroe, a team from outside Charlottesville, by 25, and they have a date with a very tough New Kent team. I watched them online the other day. They're a very good team. Coach, great to see you. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks for having me, Joanne.
No, of course. Well, let me give folks your background again. Of course, most people know you from around here, but some of the newer people may not. You played football and basketball at Stewart and now Justice. I just interviewed Gordon Austin the other day, and we talked about Ferdy. And I said, "Yeah, Jim Smith played with Ferdy." I remember our conversation.
You could do a whole segment on Ferdy.
Yeah, he was very interesting. He couldn't believe I knew so much about him. And I'm like, "Well, I talked to Jim Smith." Uh, And then you went to this College of the South, University of the South, or
Yes, sir.
Swanee, played tight
Yeah.
end there. Coached at McLean, did really well there. Then took a job at Chantilly, where you coached great players like the Franklin brothers and
Yes.
a few others in the later
John
days.
Manning.
Yeah, man, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Man, very good players. And so anyway, Coach, when you think about those great Chantilly teams that you've had, and they were great. How would you compare this team to those teams? And obviously, it's a class three.
How would my Meridian team?
How would you compare your Meridian team to some of your best Chantilly teams?
I think my Meridian team is as good as almost any team that I coached at Chantilly. Obviously on the one John Manning team with John Manning and Jake Wiegand and Keith and Savage, you had three Division I players, so that was really great high-end talent. But this Meridian group is special. They're extremely experienced. They play so unselfishly. We play so hard. Uh, we're not as good as that Chantilly team because that team just had so much talent. But in terms of the way we play the game, this is by far one of the best teams I've ever coached.
Why do you think they're so good? What made these guys so different?
They have great chemistry among themselves. Coming into this year, we had six returning players, five seniors, and a junior who had all been up with me from either their freshman or sophomore year. And all, I think five of the six guys had started at least 50 high school basketball games. They play year round. And then even before I got there, five of them were together on the same travel team in fifth grade. So they've been playing together for a long period of time. So they have great chemistry. They play for each other. They're very coachable. So it's really just a special group.
Do you like the fact that at class three, you can get kids varsity experience a little bit younger than you probably could at Chantilly? Chantilly was a very tough district. So you couldn't bring kids up too quickly there because you didn't want them to get embarrassed or I mean, look, you're trying to get results. At Meridian, are you able to get kids on the varsity team earlier than you could at Chantilly?
I think you can. I think that is an advantage. Obviously, a smaller school, it's smaller, less kids, but you still want 12 to 15 guys on your varsity. So there is more opportunities for a young player to play up early. The other thing that you have at Meridian that you don't have in Fairfax, you do in Arlington and Alexandria is your eighth graders can play on your JV group. And so really, if you have a good, a feeder program in your JV, it becomes like a fifth year that they get in the program. So there are opportunities for ninth and 10th graders to play varsity basketball sooner, but also the eighth grade eligibility is a good thing for program building.
Yeah. Are the kids much different? Now, Chantilly, you get a variety of kids. You got some wealthy kids. You got kids in townhouses. You got all different types of kids at Chantilly. Meridian's in a very wealthy district now. Wasn't always that way. When you were young and living nearby, it was almost middle class. But now it's very upscale. Do the kids feel
We
differently?
are a very affluent community without question. And there are obviously wonderful things that go with kids being in an affluent community. There are also some things when you're dealing with sports that maybe are counter to what you're trying to accomplish. I think sometimes there can be some selfishness. Sometimes maybe kids aren't quite as tough as other kids because things are a little bit easier for them. Uh, for whatever reason, with my kids, they've really bought into playing hard, being competitive, being tough. Um, you get that label, kind of soft. The rich kid is kind of soft. Our kids are tough, and they're battle tested. And there's other things that go along with being a Meridian basketball player that I think make us a little tougher than the Fairfax County kids. I think we were 13-0 on the road this year, and to play those road games, we traveled over 1,200 miles. It's very common for us to be on a bus for 4 hours going to and coming from a game. So it creates a kind of a special culture and a bonding. And believe me, on my first year, I'm like, is it possible to sit on a bus for 2.5 hours and get off and play a good basketball game? I'm not sure it's even possible, but these kids have shown me it absolutely is possible. So there are some different things about our school system and stuff that is different from Fairfax that I've really come to appreciate and like about it.
Those George Mason kids were tough kids when I was in school. They were tougher than us. It's interesting how things change. How about the parents? Are the parents the same?
It always helps when you win, right?
Yeah, it's always easy to win.
No, but our parents in our community have been fantastic since day one. Since I've been there, they've been very supportive of me, very helpful, and I've really enjoyed getting to know a lot of people and becoming part of that community. And I think they really embrace their sports team. So it's been really a lot of fun for me.
Yeah. One thing that's horrible about Class 6 basketball, which most of the teams in Northern Virginia play, is that it's not a state tournament anymore because I think 65% of the teams are north of Fredericksburg. There's like 8 teams south, so it's basically you beating the same teams over and over again. And then the Oscar Smith and Lansdowne usually will make the state tournament. We don't have a state tournament anymore. They've destroyed the state tournament. Still good competition. I still love to watch it, but it's no longer a state tournament. You guys have a state tournament. You travel a lot.
The thing that I kind of found that I liked right from the get-go was like we'd go on a bus to play a regular season game. It's like every game is like a state, what I thought of as a state tournament experience, getting on a bus and going and doing that. And yeah, we play teams from all over. And the 6A coaches may not like this. My first year, what I was really trying to do at Meridian is really learn the landscape of 3A basketball, find out how it was different and so forth and so on. And what I've come to really appreciate, when you look at the bottom of 6A to 3A, like the teams that aren't as good, that have bad years, huge difference. The bottom 6A teams are way better than the bottom 3A teams. But conversely, when you get to the top of 3A and you get to the top of 6A, again, I said the 6A coaches aren't going to like this. There's not a heck of a lot of difference. The good 3A teams, the good 6A teams, the good 4A teams, the good 5A teams, good is good. And the higher level in 3A is really good basketball.
Yeah, I think it's without a question that North Side and also Class 2, John Marshall, could obviously compete at state tournament in Class 6. Because
Yes.
I believe Northside beat Lake Taylor last year.
They
And Lake
did.
Taylor had beaten almost all the Class 6 teams in the Tidewater last year. So yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about the teams that make the state. I do think we need to look at the classifications again. 6 is too many. I think 3 or 4 max is all you need, and I think
Right.
it'd be much easier to create districts than you have now. Now it's just a mess. They're always moving teams in and out and trying to. But anyway, that's a whole
That's a show for you.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, so last year we mentioned Lake Taylor, and you had lost to James Monroe from Fredericksburg in the regional final. I think it was a packed gym, and then you went all the way down to Lake Taylor, and that was a tough ask. I saw them against Northside. I know how good they were. This year coming in, did you feel like you had more coming in on your team?
Yeah, we are. We felt our team was more complete this year, and it's interesting, Julian. We played a lot of kids young early. We started out 2-3 years ago playing a lot of freshmen and sophomores, and one way we felt we could be competitive was to play really fast, shoot lots of threes, and we became good playing fast. Well, over the course of time, those freshmen and sophomores grew into seniors and got bigger, stronger. And now suddenly this year's team, we can still play fast, but now we can lock you down in a half court game as well because we're just bigger and stronger. We had a couple really good early season games, and the comment that the other coaches made to me was like, playing against you guys is like playing against a bunch of men, because again, those young kids have been in the weight room, they've grown up, and suddenly we're just a bigger, more stronger team. So coming into this year, we kind of felt like we had more ways to win a basketball game than just playing fast and making threes.
Yeah. Well, Coach, I see you had some really nice wins. You beat a really nice Spotswood team that's hosting a state quarterfinal game in Class 4, I believe.
Their class Spotswood is Class 3.
This guy's okay. They're hosting a state game this week. I know you beat Heritage, and they're in Class 4. I live close to there. I've seen quite a few of their games. Very nice team. You beat them by 30. Obviously, you beaten some good teams. Did you think about scheduling more tough games this year? You knew you had the team. Did you think about like putting some really, like a Lake Taylor, not Lake Taylor, but a team around here that would get you more ready for that kind of challenge?
Well, it's a hard balancing act, because here's the question I would ask you. Is it more important for me to play more big teams and maybe get more tournament tested? Or is it more important for me to play the regional final at Meridian rather than going to William Monroe? Because we're seeded into our regional tournament based on PowerPoints.
Oh, that's right.
So if I take a bunch of games and only get 18 points, and then the other teams in my region are getting 32, 34, 36 points, I'm playing that regional semi, maybe at Skyline. I'm playing that regional final two nights later at William Monroe. So there's lots of things that we've got to think about that other schools don't have to think about when we put our schedule together. So it's a balancing act. Playing tough games that I have a good chance to win. Not maybe like if I were to play like O'Connell, for instance, maybe a great game. Okay, very difficult to win. I'd get 10 points for that game. Whereas if William Monroe plays a team in their neighborhood, they get 36 points. That one game right there could drop me from first to third in the regional seeding. So there's a lot of things that people don't realize that go into our calculation when we're putting the schedule together and trying to figure out where we want to be at the end of the year.
Well, and that's why we have too many classifications. If you have districts that make sense, that you don't need PowerPoints, and then you can just go with district records, and that's
Right.
the frustration to me. So, so obviously, you've been coaching quite a long time, and I think you've won 500 games. How many games have you won, Coach?
I think I had my 550th at some point this year. I know that because they did a cake for me at Meridian. It was really nice. So yeah, I'm over 550.
That's a lot of wins. Do you have a hard time getting on the bus and going 2 hours when you know you're going to win by 30 points? Is it difficult for you? Because realistically you're going to beat most of the teams by a lot.
It'd be hard. It'd be harder if I was getting on the bus knowing I was going to lose by 30.
Yeah.
But I don't look past anybody. I prepare for everybody. I like the process. I like being around my kids. I think every game is an opportunity to do something special. So I just continue to prepare my team, and I enjoy, I don't think I could have done the Fairfax County thing going into Herndon for the 500th time, or Westfield, going different places, being in different gyms, going to Kettle Run, Fauquier, good, some good teams there. That's been interesting for me.
Yeah, I refereed in Charlottesville, so I love the smaller gyms, smaller schools. There's just great energy at those gyms, especially you get those local rivalries. It's a lot of fun. So, so going into the season, when you looked at what you had coming back, looked at your schedule, you had a pretty good idea you're going to be close to where you are now. Maybe not 26-0, but you knew you had a good record. Has the team met your expectations? Have they been as good as you thought they were going to be?
Exceeded my expectations, in all honesty. I mean, we knew coming in we had a good team. We had a good returning group. We had played extremely well, in the Fairfax Summer League. I think we went 10-1 against mostly 6A schools. We'd done really well in the Madison Fall League. We'd done great at team games. So we knew we had a good group, but we felt like Spotswood playing out at Hanley, that was going to be a really tough game. Heritage, obviously, we thought was a tough game. within our league, a lot of the athletic directors in our league thought Fauquier was going to be the best team this year. Skyline is a perennially good team. And we set up some games going to Armstrong and Richmond, which we thought would be a tough game. They were not quite as good this year as we thought, but just going to Richmond to play a game, we thought that would be a good experience for our guys. So we knew we were going to have a good team, and we knew, I knew we were going to be somewhere in the top 4 in the region. But I wouldn't be correct. I wouldn't be telling the truth if I was going to tell you I thought we'd be 26-0 at this point. So they and we played such good basketball. Kids played hard, and we really play well together. One of the best compliments I get, like a lot of times after games, I have coaches to come up and tell me that they love the way we play defense, and then I have fans who come up and tell me they love the way we play offense. So I think you get a little bit of the best of both worlds there. So yeah. I've been, again, you don't, no matter what your schedule is or how good your group is, you don't really plan for 26-0.
Yeah. Unless you're a real optimist.
Yeah.
So Coach, tell us a little bit about your players.
Yeah, we have a great group. Our starting point guard, Jared Jardine, been with us since he was a freshman, played up since he was a freshman, dealt with really severe injuries his freshman and sophomore year, an ACL, a really bad ankle break, both those years, curtailing both those years. Really came back last year as a junior, was all region last year. Great two-way player for us, averages, 10, 11 points a game, 5 or 6 assists, takes on a tough assignment. We have 7 guys on our team that average between 7 and 12 points. So we share the ball. So Jared's our starting point guard. Isaac Rosenberger is a starting 2 guard. He's going to go to McDaniel College and play there. Great off the bounce scorer for us. Again, another good defensive player. Plays with a little bit of an edge, which I really like. He's been up since his sophomore year. Will Davis is a junior. He's one of the best shooters in our region, shoots about 36% from 3-point range. He's kind of our 3-point sniper. He's been up since he was a freshman. Our starting 4-man, John Lyman, 2-year starter. John is fantastic. Again, he's a guy averages about 12 points, 7 rebounds. In the regional final, he's guarded Brady Lamb, who is their all-time scorer at William Monroe, scored over 1,700 points in his career. And John did as good a job as anyone could do on him, frustrating him and making him work for everything. And John always takes on a tough assignment. Our starting center, John Alverson, about 6'5", really, really nice shot blocker, can step out and make threes as well. And he's averaged about 10 points for us. And then last senior, Billy Asel's kind of been our super sub 6-man spark plug off the bench, can guard a big wing, can guard a shooting guard, makes threes. So that's kind of been our core 6 guys. We've had also good years from a junior, Marquise Miles, guard off the bench, who really has played well, hit a big 3 the other night. And another sophomore, Mason Pye, 6'3" sophomore, good shooters, had a nice role for us as well. So that's kind of our core group that's done most of the heavy lifting this year.
Yeah. Well, Coach, since you couldn't have Rusty Payne anymore, who's helping you on the bench?
So I got a great staff. My son Bob, who is a algebra teacher at South Lakes, is my number 1 assistant and does a great job. He knows more about everybody in the state. Today we were going over the New Kent scouting report, and we were talking about a couple of their really good players. He goes, "Oh, guys, by the way, both these guys have shot over 200 threes this year, and this kid shoots 39.8% from 3, and this guy shoots 41." So he's got his handle on everybody. He does a great job. Gabe Ibrahim is my JV coach, and he's very good and really does a good job teaching. And then my third assistant is an old high school buddy of mine, Phil Suazo. He was an All-American football player at Hampton-Sydney. We were teammates at Jeb Stewart. And the funny thing I always tell the kids, they look at Phil, he's got the flock of gray hair. And I go, I was Phil's first high school coach. Because when Phil was a 9th grader coming in, Gabe Oliverio got me as a junior to coach the summer league rising freshman team.
That's
So I
great.
coached Phil when he was back in ninth grade, and we've been friends for a long time. And so those Stewart roots run deep.
Yeah, exactly. Phil, I had lunch with Phil. I think you were supposed to show up a few months ago. Great.
Yeah, I think I stood you up. I had something come up. I'm
No,
sure.
no, I get it. It happens. Um, Skyline beat you. You guys split last year, and this year they gave you two tough games. They definitely stood out in your schedule. But as you mentioned before, you mentioned Fauquier before. Fauquier was able to beat
Yeah,
Skyline, and you beat Fauquier pretty easily. Basketball is about matchups. What
sure.
is it about the Skyline matchup?
Well, I was wondering if you're going to ask me about Skyline. I want to give a shout out to all my friends in Skyline because I do know I'm very popular in the Skyline community. So, all the Skyline fans that are listening, I do want to say hello. I've heard a rumor that the Coach Smith bobblehead is the top selling item at the Front Royal General Store. So, again, I want to say hi to all my Skyline fans. I seem to always get teed up every time I walk on the floor out there. Seriously, Scotland's got a great program. When we came into the league, they had made the state tournament, I think, 2 years before. They made it my first 2 years. Good coaches, good players. They play hard. There is nothing in Northern Virginia. Maybe TC Williams used to be, but there is nothing like going into play at Skyline on a Friday night.
Hmm.
It is a really, really tough place to play and win. And, the thing that I told my son Bob is some of these teams that we play, we have them beat before we step on the floor because they just don't think they can beat us. Skyline, even after we beat them the third time, I could tell looking at their kids walking off the floor, they were mad because they know in their hearts they think they're better than us. It's not they think they can beat us, they think they're better than us. So that's a great program, and we were fortunate to get by them all three times this year. It's a great rivalry, all kidding aside.
I've never known you, coach, to get texts. You're not the kind of guy I got texts. What kind of
I
kid?
know I shouldn't. I should never get one. I don't know why they do that to me. I
Yeah,
didn't deserve. I didn't deserve a single one of them.
yeah. You were, but you were one. Yeah, but you were one to get texts up here, were you? I never knew you as a guy that got
No,
texts.
I have gotten very few in my career, but I've gotten one, believe it or not. And I will tell you this too, and I hope I don't get fined or anything like that. If I was going to talk, I was talking to my wife. We want to watch Hoosiers tonight. We were talking about Gene Hackman. We want to watch Hoosiers tonight, and if you think like the refereeing stuff in Hoosiers, the hometown stuff is all false or made up, go to Skyline on a Friday night. You will find out that they knew what they were talking about in that movie. That stuff is not stretched.
Yeah. Um, by the way, if you ever want to, you may have already done this, but they have great deleted scenes of Hoosiers on YouTube. I don't know if you ever seen them.
I'll look for
Oh,
that.
there's a half hour of the producers made them. The producers made them cut a half hour because they wanted to be under 2 hours. So a lot of these scenes they really wanted them badly, and they had to cut them. So it gives you a lot more. It gives you a lot more flavor about the characters.
Yeah, it's funny too because and I can't remember. I have to watch it again. But there's a kid who's a player like early in the movie, and he just kind of disappears later in the movie, and it's
Yeah.
never really explained what happened to him. So that's
Well,
probably one of the cut scenes.
that's explained. It's also explained in the movie. Barbara Hershey and Gene Hackman are all of a sudden kind of in love, and it makes more sense when you watch the deleted seleted. And
Right.
then there's a girl that's in their house when Gene Hackman first moves in, and you never really see her again. Well, in the deleted scenes, she's like the head cheerleader. So there's a lot in deleted scenes that make the movie it takes to another level.
Okay.
There's also bad news in that in the deleted scenes, Barbara Hershey tells him that she's moving to Chicago and she's leaving. So
Oh,
they
at the
can,
end of the movie.
yeah, they
Oh
deleted that. So
man.
it's
Poor Coach Dale.
yeah. So definitely give it a watch. Speaking of Front Royal, I know nothing about Front Royal. Are those town kids? Are those country kids? What kind of kids are in Front
It's
Royal?
both. It's a real cross section. It's a diverse community. Um, you certainly get a lot of guys in there wearing flannel and stuff like that. And so it's a little bit of both. And again, Warren County and Skyline are both Warren County schools, and I don't know really that much about it, but from what people tell me is just somehow all the good basketball players seem to find their way to Skyline.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
for however that happens, Skyline seems to get a monopoly on the good players in that community.
Well, I gotta go check out. I gotta go check out a game. I live in Leesburg, so it's not a. I guess it's probably an hour
Pretty
15.
drive, pretty
Yeah,
drive out there. You know, you can go out to the apple orchard, Markham. Really,
yeah,
you guys
or
could
the
go out and pick
wine.
your own apples out there.
Exactly, or the vineyards, or the wine places they
There's
have.
those as well.
Yeah, yes. Well, let's get to the game coming up. So I've seen New Kent. You guys, this game is going to be in the hundred. This is going to be a triple digit game for both teams. They really push the ball and shoot fast, like you guys. They have no size. They're very small, but I saw them lose. No, I didn't see that. I saw them beat Heritage in the semis.
Overtime
I didn't.
game.
I didn't see their final. They played Hopewell. People think Hopewell might be the best team in Class 3. No offense,
Right.
Coach, but I'm sure you're going to prove them wrong. Anyway, tell us your perspective of New Kent and some of the keys to the game.
So, New Kent runs, I guess their version of the kind of Lake Braddock going all the way back to the George Mason, Paul Westhead system. They're gonna play fast on, push the ball on every opportunity, spread the floor, shoot threes. They're gonna pressure you. Kind of like we were telling our guys, kind of the secret sauce. Everybody knows when they play fast, they press, they shoot threes. But the other part of it is the coaches who coach this, they really get their kids to be great offensive rebounders. So they get on the glass and attack the glass. I remember Brian Metras telling me years ago that, like, everybody thinks we shoot all these threes and that's why we beat them. Well, we only shoot about 28% from 3-point range. It's all the second shots that are created. So that's the unknown thing. Like, you better box them out because they're attacking the glass, creating second opportunities. And the other thing that they do well, the teams that do this well, they're going to press you both on their makes as well as their misses because they're putting guys to the glass. When you get a defensive rebound, they got two guys trapping the ball and plugging the outlet. And that's something that you don't see all that much. So again, everybody's got to press offense when you make it, but are you organized on your defensive rebounds to be able to outlet the ball and attack pressure on those? So they present some interesting problems for us. They play, they play hard. And again, they're very comfortable in their system. They have, as I said, two guys that really shoot the ball well. Again, you're right, not great size, but I would say really good athletes. They have a third guy, I should know his name, but number 5, who's about 6'2", and he can put the ball on the floor and make plays. I think he leads them in assists, and he's strong and runs the court well. They have some other wing players with size. So, I mean, they present a lot of issues for you. And I think they're 24-2. I think they began the year 21-0. So they're a quality team.
They are. One of their assistant coaches is a former Virginia Player of the Year, Jesse Pellet Rosa. I think he just got the job in a big school in Richmond for next year. Coach, would you rather play a team like New Kent that's fast and up tempo, or a team like Lake Taylor that's huge? What would you prefer?
I think they're both different games, and I think they both. I rather play neither of them. I'd rather get on the bus and win a game by 30.
Yeah.
I think it all depends on your team in a given year, and like you said, how you match up with that given team. And I think our team this year is better equipped to maybe play either style. But again, both teams that, shoot the ball well and pressure you, and you got to be prepared for that. Teams with size like, Hopewell has a really big kid that they pound the ball inside to. You got to be prepared for either. And, if you're going to win the whole thing, you got to be able to win both those kind of games against size or against speed and 3-point shooting, or teams that have size and 3-point shooting and speed. So, I used to make the joke, like, if you want to be king of the ball, you got to be able to do all the dances. You got to be able to do the fast dance. You got to be able to do the slow dance. You got to be able to do all those things. So, the team that comes through at the end, the different classifications, is the team that's versatile enough to win different types of games.
Yeah. Coach, do you like the tempo of the state tournament now? You have a game right away, right after the regionals. Last year, you would have waited to the end of not last year, but years ago, you would have waited to the end of the next week for either maybe a quarterfinal game, but even longer ago, they played all the state games at one site. Do you like the tempo? You have a game Tuesday if you win. You play Friday, and then
I kind of always, maybe old school, liked to have the semis and the finals all at one site,
of
everybody
course,
kind of all there together.
yeah,
It just kind of made it to me like a gigantic basketball party that
yeah,
everybody who loved basketball would convene on that area. And I know there's economic reasons and so forth why we do it at sites, but I just think, like for instance, like when I was back in the Concord district, like the semifinal nights of the district were my favorite nights because it's like everybody was there for both games. So again, like when it's all spread out and everything, sometimes I'm afraid sometimes your kids get on a bus and maybe they're going to another high school gym to play a state game, and it's almost like you don't even get a state feeling. Whereas if you're going to Richmond or VCU, and there's like everybody knows, hey, this is special. This is a state tournament. So I mean, I hope we're not cheating our kids. I would, again, I'm sure they won't go back and I'm sure they won't listen to Jim Smith, but I think it was more special when they did all those games all at the one site, wherever it might be, Williamsburg one year, Richmond one year, wherever.
yeah. I think they should do what they can to have as many double headers as they can, and even staggered nights. Last night they played the northern region and the Occoquan region, which is two halves of the former northern region. They played them on the same night, so you had to choose one or the other. So
Right.
it was either South Lakes and Westfield against, or you can go see Hayfield or Woodson, not both. And then my high school, Robinson, was in the girls, and they have a great player named Georgia Simonson. She was in it, so you have to make choices, and I think they should endeavor to put as many games as possible in one site, and try to stagger them if you can. But the best thing would be to go back to the old days where we had real state tournaments. I mean, can you imagine being Hayfield and traveling up to South Lakes for a state quarterfinal game? It's almost absurd.
Right.
But
Yeah, it's like we do this all the time. There's nothing special about it.
yeah, I mean, this is a really special thing, and
Yes.
they really don't get it. But that's me saying that. It's not Coach Smith. Don't get him in trouble, guys. But look, Coach, this is great. I'm not going to ask you to look beyond New Kent, because I know it's going to be a great game. But the game is at home on Tuesday.
Yes.
What time is the game?
7 o'clock Tuesday at Meridian in the little city of Falls Church.
Right. Okay. So they're not doing it at neutral sites because that's
No.
no. Okay. Good. So that'll be a great environment. And I feel sorry for New Kent. It's not going to be exactly neutral environment when they come up to Falls Church on
Don't,
Tuesday.
well, don't feel sorry for New Kent. They got a heck of a program,
They
and
do.
we're going to have our hands full with them. It should be a great night of basketball.
Yeah, I'm going to watch that. What I'm going to do is I think I'm probably going to go to the South Lakes game, but I'm not going to get your score. So I'm going to come home and watch it live on NFHS. I mean, not knowing what the score is.
How are you handling Coach Desmond when you get him on the show? He's kind of a loose cannon, isn't he?
Yeah, I think the censors are going to start giving me some trouble. They may take me off YouTube, banish my show. They're going to start with the enforcement on YouTube. But no, Mike is great. When I get Mike and
Mike
Sherman,
is authentic.
yes, when I get Mike and Sherman Rivers going, and I get so many comments offline from parents and supporters and uh, detractors. It's always a lot of fun. It was great. Mike did a great job yesterday. Westfield had beaten them in district final, and he had a
I sent him a text last night congratulating him, and we communicate quite a lot during the season. And I had to give him a hard time, like all the baton stuff that he was like, I'm like, did you get the baton back? You made we passed the baton or whatever. I'm like, you were just setting them up the whole time, Mike. Or in your mind, you're setting them up.
Yeah. Well, Mark Gray Mendez, TJ coach, says you're the best team in Nova, and I wish you guys could have played South Lakes this year. It'd been a lot of fun. But anyway, that's for another interview, Coach. I really appreciate you taking time to do this.
Oh, my pleasure. I always enjoy it. My wife says she loves Nova Legend. She goes, "Why doesn't Julian get you on more? I'd like, yeah, he does such a great job. I'd like to see you on him."
Well, it's funny. I was talking to Dave Duggan about this yesterday. He's I'm sorry, Andrew Duggan, yesterday. He's the South Lakes AD. And I was telling him about, there's a lot of coaches, and I really try to wait to the postseason
Right.
and talk to them, because that's when we have a matchup that's really relevant, and they're always in a really good mood because they're still alive. That's what I
Sure.
tried to. I have those coaches shows that I've been doing that panel. I have to get you on one of those, and you can mix it up with the young guys. So
I would enjoy that.
it'd be fun. So, and then maybe one of these points, got to get you on with McKeag, and we can really tell some funny stories.
Boy, that'd be great. I haven't talked to Bob in a while. I'd love to catch back up with him.
Yeah, I mean, there's no one more brutal to me than my coach, Bob McKeag, who's supposed to support me. There's no one who's tortured me throughout my life than Bob McKeag, but I still love him. So. Uh,
Bob's something else.
That's the only way to describe him. So
Yes.
anyway, Coach, best of luck on Tuesday. I'll be watching, and hopefully I'll catch your game in Richmond in 2 weeks.
Thank you, Julian. Appreciate your support.
Yeah, it's great, Coach. Thanks again. All right, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Take care.